We reinforce our biases through the language we use. So we need to be mindful of our language if we do not want to discriminate at the end of the day.
Welcome to the Inclusive Exec series, where Inclusive Matters connects your D&I ambitions to measurable business results. Join us as we spotlight inclusive leaders around the world who are driving commercial success with effective DEI strategies. Jenifer Clausell-Tormos is the scientist turned tech entrepreneur who defied the odds. Her journey includes navigating the gatekeepers to the VC funding world and ultimately securing millions of euros to build her company, Develop Diverse. Major corporations across Europe use Develop Diverse's inclusive language SaaS tool to improve workplace diversity. Jenifer's impactful work has earned her recognition from global organizations. She's been ranked among the top entrepreneurs of the year, and she won the Nordic Women in Tech Award, as well as the Cartier Women's Initiative Fellowship for Europe. Welcome, Jenifer.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
So let's just dive right in. Tell us about your path and journey to where you are now in your career.
I was born and raised in Spain, growing up in a household where they were encouraged traditional gender roles. It was something that I have actually defined a lot. Once I became 18, I wanted to explore the world. I decided to move to France. I'm a chemist. Then I have done a PhD on the development of technological platforms for biomedical applications like finding new cancer therapies. I have always been working in male-dominated fields. So even though the biomedical field, I work in the technical side of it. Okay. So I was always surrounded by more men overall, everything from conferences to the actual workplace. In France, basically it was the first time I would be living outside of Spain. And there, for first time ever, I faced my own biases against people. I realized that I was biased against others. Gender was something I had internalized, but nothing else. I didn't know I was biased against people just because of their ethnic group or their age group or their religion, the nationality, where they come from.
What was it that made you realize, I have these preconceived ideas here?
I would say, exactly, I was working for almost 5 years in a research institute where we were 20 people and 16 different nationalities. Okay. So I was working with people, different skin color, different religions, different parts of the world, different languages. And that's where I could see all those thoughts I had, or I had internalized, I had learned in my childhood because, family, but also the TV, anything outside the world. And then I realized it's all bullshit. It's all. And this struck me a lot. It's like I have been always talking about gender, but here it goes beyond that.
Wow. So in essence, when so many new differentiators in your team and work environment, and many were unfamiliar to you. So you were trying to find a connecting point, and that's typically by what have we heard in the media, or what have we read in books, or what have we heard people talk about to build our.
I have to say.
Okay.
And the moment my eyes opened, I couldn't close them anymore. Right. And this was just the beginning. So, meaning facing my own biases was just a huge learning, but something I'm so grateful for. But this was the beginning of me then seeing how they were experiencing those biases. When I would be back in my own country, I could see this also was happening to other people, but I had not seen it. It was like a filter I had that I didn't see. But now suddenly I didn't have that lens that blocked me from seeing it. And then my fight towards gender equality became a fight much rather towards diversity. For a few years, I was back in Spain, but very soon went then to Denmark, where I had been living for 11 years. And there I have myself experienced another degree of biases. In that sense, it has been still gender, even though Denmark is known as such a gender equal culture. I believe it is in many ways, like on the streets, on the households. I can see parities more than maybe in Spain. However, in the workplace where we spend most of our time, I still face similar biases. I was working much or even harder than some of my peers, but I was quite different from my peers in many ways. I was younger, I was a woman, not local, right? So many things, and I understand, right? When I am in Spain, this also happened. We do have biases towards other nationalities in many ways, but this affected me as well because I thought the challenges I met were a thing of uh, a situation where women are not economically independent, not have enough education. But suddenly I was in a place where I had high education, I had a PhD, I was economically independent by far. And I could see not only myself, but any other female friends, same level of education, same level of economic independence. They were experiencing similar challenges in different countries as well, right?
How did Develop Diverse come into the picture?
Yeah, so I think there was that one last situation that struck me at work where I had been having amazing results. I have given that amazing meeting. I thought I rocked. I was surrounded by the big shots of the company. And when I left the meeting, one of the director managers approached me and say, more women to be dressing like you. I would kill him. Like, I have given such an amazing talk. I showed amazing results that can impact the company. And the only comment you can make to me is because I'm wearing a dress and more women should be wearing dresses as I'm doing. First time he did it, I was shocked. But I prepared an answer if this ever happened again. And it
Oh
did.
no.
So next time I was ready and I answered something like, I don't want you to have an opinion on my dress code. If any opinion you have to have about my work in this place. He became red. He started laughing and said, it's just a joke. It's just, it's fun. Just take it easy. And my boss was next to him. He became red. He just vanished. He didn't say a single thing. So this started annoying me a lot. And then eventually there was also no promotion, lots of excuses. Plus, I had been getting that realization. Everything came together and it clicked. I say I had to take action. I quit the job I had, well paid, great career, and decided to start my own company with my own savings, with all the risks that this comes. And that's when I started Develop Diverse.
Yeah, let's talk about the baby steps of how you got started.
So the vision of Develop Diverse was creating equal opportunities in the workplace by supporting organizations to reduce any biases that were causing the diversity gap in organizations. Develop Diverse is a software platform that HR communication departments can use to ensure that whatever communication material or recruitment material they use is actually inclusive.
Okay.
The software worked like a spell checker, but rather than checking for spelling mistakes, we check for words or sentences that discourage people due to the diversity group they belong. And not only highlights those words like the text, but also propose inclusive alternatives so that the outcome of the text, everything from a job description or a website career page, the output is inclusive. So whenever you post a job ad in particular, you will not be discouraging applicants just because of the words you use, but rather you will be appealing to all that are actually qualified. The research have shown that really we do reinforce our biases through the language we use. So we need to be mindful of our language if we do not want to discriminate at the end of the day. So when I try to sell to investors back then, or even to customers, a solution that would help them increase diversity and reduce biases, very few people thought that it was actually necessary. Because very few people thought there was actually a problem. Yes. So while now the market of diversity tech has exploded, back in 2017, I had to do a damn of a job in order to get everyone convinced that there was actually a problem in the workplace, and especially investors. I think this has been the most striking because in the workplace, there have always been people that acknowledge biases and the challenges of, especially women in the glass ceiling. Those are terminologies have been used for a while. And I was going to conferences about gender equality in science. So the first thing I did went to professors of Danish universities to present them my idea. They were preaching about the lack of gender equality in the professorship levels. And they thought it was impressive that there was a solution as it was so hard to identify our biases. So they bought it in. So the moment I could see there was enough awareness for implementing the solution of having such a spell checker for your job descriptions, for inclusive language instead of, checking for grammar, then I decided, okay, trying to develop in my own way. And eventually I got to a space where funds were important because one can run so far
Right.
with their own funds. And then they eventually got the time where there was need for funds. I'm talking about 2018. So 1 year later, we had proof of concept, customers, proof that people would be purchasing it. And when I talked to investors, I met the same answer for many of them was that they didn't see there was a problem I was solving. So it was hard for them to see the potential of my company.
And who were the investors? What kind of demographic were you addressing?
Yeah, they were white men and local, like Danes.
Okay.
And I think that's not unusual because most investors have a certain profile and they have been the ones in the game for longer. Of course, if you don't experiment that pain, you have not even aware of what that pain looks like, that discrimination looks like, you cannot relate to it. And they couldn't relate to the problem I was solving. And this makes total sense. So when you cannot relate to a problem I'm solving, then you don't think there is need for it in Denmark when I was starting. So what they told me is that what was key for developers to succeed, you might persistence a bit and perseverance, because this was also very important. It was public funds, Danish public funds. They were key for us to keep going. Also, public accelerator programs because they opened us the door and gave us that visibility we needed as well. So I have to acknowledge that, and I would like to recognize that because investment was not there, public funds were key for us to keep going. Because investors would tell us, come back when you have proof of business or recurrent revenue. And obviously, you cannot get there in the very beginning.
Right.
Ideas are based a lot on the perception of the potential of your business. Actually, most startups are being funded because they check the boxes, right? The number of founders, check. Profile of founders, check. And the type of business, check. And I didn't fill any of those checks. So I had to prove myself before they would invest it, right?
Okay.
I had to, the biases I am aware of, right? Women and minorities are perceived to have limited potential and they need to demonstrate. They are checked based on performance. So we need to demonstrate that we can actually make it before we are acknowledged. Why
Others.
the other groups, they are perceived to have unlimited potential because affinity bias plays a role. And it's like, oh, I believe if you behave like that or look like that, you actually will make it. They look like me, they will make it. When you don't look like them, when you provide a solution they cannot even relate to, forget it. You need to demonstrate so much more. So we had to, before getting the big investment on board, we had to demonstrate, we had to have huge brands in place, money in our bank to get the investment. We got it, but we had
And
to
I'm
do the hard work
curious,
first.
the public funds, is there a difference in the average amount that is awarded compared to private funds?
It's much less. So
So your starting point in this game of building a business through funds, with everyone else aligned, if you think of that starting point, you immediately have to take 2 steps back from the starting point because you have to navigate another channel for the funding. And when that does come through, it will be less than what the counterparts who are also at the starting line would likely get. Very interesting. So public funding came through. What happened next?
Well, the company has been growing slowly, steady. We had amazing customers in like investors, like Danske Bank.
I saw some of your statistics. You mentioned, I think Amazon took on the product. And
they were the first testers, Amazon Europe. It was so scary. We got them on board. Reach out. We were the first diversity tech company in Denmark, in Scandinavia, and I put even there to say Europe back then. When they had a call and presented the findings, we didn't know what we would find. And they got, it was so scary. 2 hours good surprise. They got 3 times more women to apply. They got 3 times more men to apply as overall applicants. And regarding qualified, they got no women without our software. With our software, they got 4 qualified women out of a huge pool.
Okay. Okay.
But also got more qualified men, right? It's like they could see with impact not only women but also men, so they were impressed.
You just name dropped 3 major companies. Okay, is it time now to consider us for investment? What happened then?
It was not easy when talking to investors, despite having that amazing brand, numbers, impact, traction. This solution we're building still was not being perceived as a solution that was needed for this world, because we were lucky. We got those big
the words you're using, you were lucky. I want to hear more about what kind of pushback or feedback they were giving.
Well, this was one. Another was, can you do it more? Can you even keep them for long? Your software is something that they will use forever, will be the first thing they drop whenever they run out a bit of cash. It's actually a need to have. They were questioning that need to have all the time. They couldn't see the market. Coming back to what I said in the beginning, they couldn't relate to the pain of discrimination or biases in the work.
So even though they recommend go get your public funds, go get some proof of concept, some revenues, and you do that, you come back and they still are thinking this isn't sustainable. Okay.
Correct. And I can give you 2 examples that I remember, because after that I had to punch a cushion from the anger I had. We always talk about having a punching bag in the office to hit it every time we got this type of comment. We never got to it, but I used some cushions instead. And so one investor, we had like 7 sessions with them, sharing all the data, answering all the questions. And we were, basically everything they were asking, we're saying yes, 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 yes. And eventually he said, look, I don't want to make you waste your time. Things look okay, they look good, but there is something in my stomach. There is something there that tells me I should not invest. I cannot put a word on it, he would say. And my co-founder was there. We're like, what the hell? We could see they wanted a man in the room. They were missing that man in the room. Other type of team, unfortunately. Which we were in that moment. We were 2 female, co-founders, right? I started the company myself up to the first proof of traction. So I'm the one who built it all from zero for 3.5 years. And then I did get a co-founder on board and to join afterwards. And still, we were 2 of us. And then, they're still not enough. So eventually, we got the 3rd person. Who was indeed a man. So unfortunately, yes, this is telling me or telling everyone, sometimes we put pressure on women-led startups that they need to have men in the team. There was another investment fund that I knew a peer of mine was also pursuing that fund. My peer was in a similar space, not diversity space, but tech space. So it was a similar type of product, software plus hardware in that case. In our case, was software. We started at the same time, and we were going to ask for funds at the same time. And when I asked for the conditions of the investment, they said, yeah, we would invest on you, but under this condition. And the conditions, when looking into them, they were not good. They were valuing our company really little. And I was baffled. I said, we have proof of sales, not only proof, we have huge brands on our year contracts. We had sales proven, recurrent, which is very key for investors to say the word recurrent. My peer had no sales. They got 3 times better conditions than us. And he was himself puzzled. He said, I don't know why they gave you that valuation. I don't know what they said they would give you only that amount of money, while they are giving us so much more in so many levels. And they are not asking us for sales proof at all.
Punching bag. You need that punching bag. You shared how Develop Diverse came to be and how it had really struggled to crack out of its egg and without much help. You have now a company and you have built a staff. Tell me about that and then the transition that you had operating the business rather than just founding it.
Yeah, over the years, we fundraised 3 million euros on private capital, 500,000 euros on public funds, and got even 100 customers internationally and nationally. So we have been growing and succeeding, and this has allowed us to grow the team. Under my leadership, the team grew up until 25 people. If we focus on the inclusive part of the challenges, every employee that joined the company, our vision was their also life purpose. They wanted to make a difference.
Okay.
They really care for what we're doing.
Very purpose driven to the points of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay.
Which is fantastic, right? Like you want these people to be the ones building your product, to be the ones responsible to build the culture of the organization. But it's not a straight line. It's a zigzag going backwards, challenges. You don't know where investment is going to come. You don't always have the time or the resources. And one challenge that I can say is that I had set expectations to my own company regarding inclusion much higher than I could ever execute.
Can you give me an example of what you mean?
I said the wrong expectations because I also give it for granted that if we all care so much for diversity, or many of us come from underrepresented groups, that we will understand everyone's challenges. And we together will be able to build that culture. But it's not true. We are people from underrepresented groups that can understand very well their own challenges, but they don't understand the challenge of the other. So there was need for more workshops, for more efforts internally for helping people to thrive together. Because people from different diversity demographics, they have different way of thinking, of working, of solving, of communicating, right? So when you have a mix of people, our team was super, like in that sense, we really focused on attracting diversity, and we were good. I guess we had the right tools.
You had a great brand too.
Yes, and a great brand and a great purpose. So we attracted diversity, but it brought challenges in so many ways. I was not necessarily aware of. I am running a business. I'm trying to get things done. We don't have that many resources, and people have expectations.
You have a group of people that are still having to learn to work in a diverse environment, and they have to build the inclusion themselves.
Yeah, yes, I was thinking like one example of underestimating that inclusion goes first and diversity after, not the other way around. Because as you mentioned, we went diversity first, while we thought inclusion was there, but we didn't really evaluate it properly, right? We didn't have enough level of inclusion for the diversity numbers we had, or diversity demographics we had. Given this is number one, and number two, I hope that everyone would be inclusive because they understood, but they didn't. So we lack workshops to get people to be familiar, and having someone full time making sure the inclusive culture that we think and building is the one that people need. And I thought I could drive that agenda on top of driving the company. I could have done a much better job if I would have acknowledged I don't have the resources, I don't have the hands. Someone else needs to be hired. But then also acknowledging that money has to go.
If you had to give a piece of advice to any leader who is managing a staff that's diverse, or you want it to be more diverse, what would you recommend?
I would say you need a person who is going to lead the process, who is going to make sure that it goes through the whole organization, not only in HR, right? This is for sure a given for me. It should not stay in HR, but you need one person that leads the whole movement, that is just purely there to understand, to measure how are things going in the different departments, in different levels.
I'm going to play the advocate. If I was that investor, okay, you say we need this. I don't really see the problem. Isn't that HR? Where is this really going to make an impact, having that person?
Back then, I didn't have an answer, but now I would answer. The success of a company is not the amount of sales you have. It's not. You need that, but it's not. It's the people that make those sales are the ones who are going to make a company succeed. If your people don't feel included, they are not going to perform. The culture is not going to be the culture for them to thrive. and then sales are not going to be succeeding. If the product development is not going to succeed, things are going to be not being moving forward. So, of course, you need great leadership, but people are the biggest challenge for any organization. Not getting a customer, not getting an investor, is people. If people are not feeling well, nothing is going to work. Conflicts take away energy from everyone.
What happens next in the journey for you here?
This journey, what I had been a solo founder for more than half of the time of existing of the company, has been a hard one. Being persistent, perseverant, having a strong grit, it was key. But not having that genuine work-life balance has been a challenge as well. Running a startup is a marathon. It's not a race. And I tell you from firsthand that I have been behaving as it was a race. I always felt I had to progress every single day. I couldn't postpone that progress. I wanted to do it perfect. And this combination is not the right combination when running a startup, especially the startup of our level, where we have to fight so many odds, right? I was a foreigner in Denmark, a woman in a field which was not my field I was educated on. Since I didn't take care of myself, I eventually burned out. So I'm not longer running the company. The company is being run by my co-founder. I took another path. My mission is to revolutionize the way how entrepreneurs manage and lead their business so they can increase productivity threefold while keeping or reaching a genuine work-life balance. So I'm currently coaching entrepreneurs on their productivity to help them burning out. So properly organize time, prioritize properly, protect your agenda, and live a balanced life, taking care of all areas of life every week, independently of work, right? Actually being grounded, taking care of yourself, respecting your schedule is going to make you the best leader. It's going to make the best entrepreneur. It's going to help you succeed. So, yeah.
So, Jenifer, how can people learn more about you? Where can we follow you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Soon you will be able to join or find me on jeniferclausell.com. So my first name, second name.com. This is going to be the website. So keep tuned. It's going to go live very soon.
Jenifer, thank you for your time. And for everyone who has listened in or watched, thank you for joining us today.
If you enjoyed today's session, then like and subscribe to our playlist on this platform. And you can visit Inclusive Matters at incmat.com. That's INCMAT.com, where your favorite episodes and other valuable D&I tools are just a click away.